When we talk about spiritual awakening, we often focus on its benefits and positive aspects, like how we become more peaceful, more blissful, and more connected to the world. But what we don't normally talk about is the challenges, the in-between, the transition between the initial awakening and the multiple awakening that follows. So in this video, I'll talk about the changes before and after spiritual awakening in two main categories: our career finance and our relationship. And I will also share with you how I integrate the spiritual dimension into this category. Before I start, I would like to define spiritual awakening and the context of this video. When I refer to spiritual awakening, I'm talking about the initial awakening, the initial waking up and awareness of the spiritual dimension. It's not the multiple awakening that we continue to have after the initial one. So before you have awakened, your life is focused more on the physical and tangible aspect of life, such as money, career, health, your relationship with others. You have no awareness of this non-physical, energetic aspect of life. After you are spiritually awakened, you will still have money, career, health, and relationship, but there is a new additional element of spirituality. So there is this physical money, and there is this energetic spiritual side of money, and there is this health and physical well-being, but there's also this energetic spiritual side of health. Everything has a spiritual component to it, and when you're spiritually awakened, your perspective of these things in your life changes. But more often than not, life after spiritual awakening gets worse before it gets better. It can turn your world upside down and be very chaotic. You might feel very lost with a newfound perspective. Your life loses meaning and you might not know what to do with your life anymore. And this can stretch from months to years. Spiritual awakening is not the same as spiritual enlightenment. Waking to this new spiritual dimension doesn't mean you can sustain it or integrate into your life. After the initial awakening, most of us will forget about how good it feels or who we really are as we go about our life. We will awaken and forget multiple times. It's like how we sleep every night and wake up in the morning. People feel very lost after spiritual awakening because they have this old life that they live, and there is this new perspective and deep knowledge that they experience, but they don't know how to integrate the two. Going back to the old life is not an option. Once you have opened up to this spiritual perspective, you can never unknow what you have known. Yes, as mentioned, you will forget about it, but we will remember it again. Once you are open to the spiritual dimension, you can never go back to the old ways of life without feeling that life is more than this. You are in a limbo and you're neither here nor there. Everything in your life that you once find meaning to will suddenly feel so meaningless. Like for example, you might think, why am I still doing this job? What is the point of working so hard to earn an income? There must be something more important than this. Your old egoic belief about what is important has been shattered, and you are in the midst of finding a new purpose in life. But the problem is, you can't just discard your old life completely. You still have bills to pay, and you still have existing relationship that reminds you of the past. You can isolate yourself and withdraw from the world. You can leave the practical world aside and become a monk or a nun, but this doesn't work for most of us. Not everyone has the desire to connect with spirituality in such a manner. This is only a short-term solution. You're jumping from one extreme to another extreme. You're jumping from, I am just going to enjoy myself in the physical world with all the physical stimulation, to I'm just going to be spiritually connected and relinquish all my physical possession. Ultimately, you need to marry the two. You need to learn how to integrate your spiritual life with your physical life. And you will need to grow and expand. You can't just kill off your ego. Your old egoic identity will die, but your ego will rebuild a new identity. The ego has a structure of who you are as a person. When you remove it completely without replacing it with a new identity, you will feel very lost. There will be no direction and purpose in life. Having an ego and having an identity is part of being a human. You have to embrace both your ego and your spiritual essence, and not to take your identity too seriously. Career and finance is one of the common entry points to spirituality. It could be you lost your job, you become bankrupt, or maybe your physical health has worsened and you can't work in a job anymore. For me, when I'm spiritually awakened, my career is the area in which my ego mainly builds its identity around. I was an accountant and I always wanted to do something creative, so I studied animation and become an animator. But after 3 months, I realized it wasn't something that I imagined to be, so I left the industry. And I found myself to be very lost without any identity. My whole ego structure collapsed, and that's where I was depressed and eventually awakened. You can read more about it in my memoir, The Emotional Gift. Now, after spiritual awakening, I still have a career identity. I still tell people that I'm a writer, I'm a spiritual teacher. It's for practical reason and branding. I don't tell people that I'm a spiritual being and so are you. But I use my career identity and these terms very loosely. It's not like I'm a writer, I have to write a certain amount of books a year, or I'm a spiritual teacher, I'm not allowed to do this or do that. My career identity doesn't determine what I can do or cannot do. If one day I don't feel like writing and I'm called to do something else, then I'll do something else. It's very fluid. I'm not attached to this identity. When it comes to career and finance, most of us are taught to go to school, get a stable job, and pay the bills. For some of us, it's about achieving a certain amount of money so that we can live a good quality life. And there's nothing wrong with this. A life after spiritual awakening, earning lots of money and climbing the corporate ladder doesn't feel satisfying and fulfilling. You might lose your motivation for life, you have no goals, you don't feel like doing anything. Or on the flip side, you might feel a stronger call and purpose to do something bigger or contribute to the world. And this isn't just a doctrine. It's not like you are spiritual, then you have to do better and do good for the society. It's just a very natural energy you have when you're connected with your spirit. You feel an expansion and you go along with it. However, here's the problem. Even though earning money and career might not be the main priority anymore, you still need to pay the bills. The practical side of things will remind you that you need balance. If you just quit your job and are constantly worried about money, your vibration is one of anxiety, and that is not aligned with the vibration of your spiritual purpose. And when you try to help people and contribute to the world, people are just not attracted to you, and you wonder why you try so hard and it's not working. Money has an energetic element to it too. If you just find a job like part-time or freelance that provide you with enough money for your daily needs, you won't feel so stressed, and then you'll be able to focus and work on what's important to you. And when you're in a more calm and content vibration, other people will be attracted to you and money will flow to you. The more anxious you feel about money, the more it won't come to you. But the more relaxed you are, the easier it will come. That's what happened to me. When I was spiritually awakened, I have a calling to write, but I need money for my daily needs and to publish the book. So I have to give tuition to students on the side to meet my minimal expenses. I like what my mentor used to say, even Superman need a day job. It needs to be Clark Kent. When I'm grateful for the money I receive for my tuition assignment and loving what I do as a writer, more money flows in to support me. It's difficult to be spiritual without paying attention to your daily financial needs. Another big change you are most likely to experience is in the category of relationship. Whether is it with your family, friendship, or romantic relationship, you might find that some of these relationships will no longer be the same again. This transition is a weird one. Before spiritual awakening, I have friends, but after spiritual awakening, I don't feel compelled to meet them anymore. And it's not like I dislike them or judge them as less spiritual. It's just that they remind me of an old self that doesn't exist anymore. They know me as my past self. They don't know the new version of me, which is still me, but drastically different. Relationships are formed between two people based on a snapshot of who they are at that time. If one party changes, whether is it for the better or worse, and the other party doesn't change along with it, or at least update their perspective of the other person, then this relationship won't work anymore. I used to have low self-esteem and tend to be very accommodating, but now that I follow my intuition more and not looking for other people's approval, the dynamic I have with other people changes too. It's no longer the same. People will interact with you as though you are your old self, but you're not the same as before, it's confusing for the other party. The conversation you want will also be different. You might want something deeper, you might want to talk about spiritual experiences which the other person might not have the awareness of yet. After you are spiritually awakened, you might have to let go of some of your closest friend or loved one who don't share the same vibration as you. You might have to accept that they might not be part of this new journey you are in. The quicker you are able to let them go, and the less you cling on to your past relationship, the more you expand and the more ease you will feel in your spiritual journey. Yes, you might feel lonely at times, like you're an alien and no one really gets you, or you might want to share your newfound spiritual knowing with others and try to help them be spiritually awakened too, so as not to be that alone. But one thing I learned is to not force other people to grow. I know we all want to hold on to our existing relationship and help the people we love to grow, but this will only leave you in frustration. Everyone will have their own spiritual journey. If it isn't time for them to be spiritually awakened, no matter how much you say, they will not understand. It will only make you feel lonelier and more misunderstood. So like in my family, I don't really talk about spirituality that much. It's only last year that I started opening up a little bit more. I leave all this spiritual talk on my blog and now on this YouTube channel and allow whoever resonate with it comes on their terms. Instead of using words to try and get others to understand you, talk and interact with them using your energy. You will also get more picky about your relationship so as to protect your energy. You might wonder, why was I attracted to this man or woman in the first place? Once you have healed yourself and let go of your past, you take off this cover and you will see how you have been putting someone else up on a pedestal. But it's not just you who will let go of the relationships. Other people will slowly disappear from your life organically, and you don't even need to do anything about it. When you're spiritually awakened and start to let go of all the relationship issue and bad habit you have previously, your energy changes. And when you have a better vibe, people who like to blame, complain, or have negative energy, the people who you used to attract will start to bounce off your energy. You will repel them as both of your energy doesn't match. New people who share similar energy as you will come into your life. So connect with others through your energy and not merely with words. After awakening, you might also go through a phase where you want to be alone. And that's normal. It might feel weird because even though you feel this oneness with the universe, yet you don't feel like connecting with others. It's easier to feel the spiritual connection by turning inwards than turning outwards. For the last couple of years, I've been through this phase where I just want to be with myself. Now I'm more ready to connect with people, like a social butterfly breaking out from a cocoon. The way of turning inwards and outwards will come and go. It's important for you to ride the wave and just feel what energy is resonating with you at this moment and go with it. Don't worry about losing interest in interacting with others. Sometimes spirituality is best practiced alone, but soon enough you'll find the energy to connect with others again and make new friends. Everyone's spiritual journey is different, but one thing for sure, when you're spiritually awakened and your perception of reality changes, your priority change. You can't go back. You can only go forward and continue to expand. You will not know all the answer, but the fun of it is the ongoing discovery about yourself, about other people, the world, and spirituality. Life before spiritual awakening and life after spiritual awakening. When you marry and integrate the two, you get the best of both worlds about being a human and a being. If you're stuck in a limbo between your past life and your new life, or you're feeling lost and lonely like no one understands what you're going through or what you're feeling right now, be sure to check out my book, Reconnect to Love. In this book, I'll share my journey from loneliness to deep connection. The links are in the video description below.